welcome to Showtime with me, Aisha. As you all know, in here it's all about entertainment. But before we go into what we have for you for the day, let's take a very quick break as always. And when we return, the show continues. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back. Today on the show, I have Mr. Bash Amoneni, and this is a poet and lots more. But you know what? We'll get to hear it from him. You're welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you so much. Yes. It's a pleasure being here.
So, Mr. Bash, let's know more about you.
Okay.
Who is Mr. Bash?
I would say now I'm more of a poet and architect, and also a business development professional. Let's say back in the day, I was a banker, and so I've evolved into who I am now. But generally, a poet and an architect. Yes.
Are you an architect that became a poet, or a poet that became an architect?
I think I was both all the way, a poet and an architect. Yes.
Right.
I think poetry for me started a long time ago. But of course, architecture, you need to go through the training of the university system and all of that. So even before university, I was also already writing poetry.
Okay, tell us about your story.
My poetry journey started, if I can remember, I think in the 90s. Yeah, in the 90s. We're old like that, so but in the 90s. So I had my elder brother, elder brother, junior brother kind of relationship. So he used to scribble stuff. So once in a while I would just pick up his notebooks and I see that this guy's writing stuff. What's this guy writing? And I just loved what he used to write. Then again in church, there's this thing called hymns. I don't know if you know hymns. Hymns are like structured songs. So the songs are very structured. They follow a structure. You can't just write an hymn. It's not a random song. There's a structure. So you might have 5 stanza, 5 stanza, 5 stanza. Then each line will have like 4 words, 4 words, 4 words. So I just loved that structure. So I just loved hymns. Then I was looking up to my brother. Then as I grew into life, I now stumbled upon poetry in school. Of course, junior secondary school, we started doing poetry of the classics, Kwesi Brew, Kofi Awono, all of those old masters, Richard Nturu, and Dennis Brutus and the rest. So I just fell in love. I just fell in love with the power of words. I think for me, what words could do, I realized that words were so powerful that could just alter someone's emotion, could put you in a different emotional state, could lift you up, could drop you. So for me, I was just fascinated, generally fascinated, about that. Then somewhere in JSS 3, I now found this poem by David Diop, titled Africa. It was, so I saw a classmate of mine perform it, and I just loved the emotion. Of course, the poem talked about pre-colonial African Renaissance and the fact that Africa is rising from the ashes of slave trade and colonialism and all of that. So I just loved that what the poem did to me when that guy did it. So I said, okay, now I wanted to do what this guy just did. So I went. I think I memorized the poem. Then I had every opportunity in school, every class party, every gathering, I wanted to just do that poem. And every time I performed that poem, I just loved the effect it had on the audience. I think basically that was where my love for poetry started. Then, can I go on?
Yeah, you
can. All right, so I moved on from the junior secondary thing. Then I think when I was in SS3, there was a call by the Benue State government. Then we were living in Makurdi. The Benue State government put out a call for Christmas poems, people to compete for the best Christmas poem then. And so I wrote a poem and I submitted, and it was the best poem. So that also gave me some impetus, okay, maybe you can actually do this. Then I think when I was in 300 level, then the internet was just coming upon us, and we were excited about the internet, emails, Yahoo Messenger, all of those things. Then there was this website we found called poetry.com, and they used to collect poems from all over the world. So I submitted my poem one time when I was in 300 level, and that poem was selected among the top 4 poems that year in the world. So,
wow.
It got me excited again. Okay, I think I can do this. and on, and yeah, here we are. Still writing poetry.
This is
and all
a
of
very
that.
nice
Yeah.
one.
Thank you.
So you write poems.
Yes, I do.
And I think this is something that most people don't really see important. Most poets don't see important anymore because they feel it's an internet age. So you just drop it on the site and it's okay. It's been seen there. So why do you still write poems? Why do you still make books? Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, there are still traditional readers. There are still people that want to pick a book, open it, smell the pages, and dog ear 1 or 2 pages to come back to. There are still people that want to do that. Like, I like books. I want to feel it. I want to touch it. Yeah, the internet is upon us. We can't go back. It's always going to be progressive. But, there are still people that want to carry the traditional text and flip and mark and all of that stuff too. So yeah, and of course we still have bookstores. I mean, if you still have the market, we have bookstores, then you should have books that will sit on the bookstore because an electronic material cannot sit on the bookstore. So we still have bookstores, we still have literary festivals happening, and most of those literary festivals you have book shows and book readings and all of that. So yeah, the place of the traditional book is still very, very much guarded. So yeah, I mean, I have this in soft copy. I have it on Amazon. I have it on Seller. I have it on Okada Books. But of course, I still have the hard prints, which is nice. And come on, how do you autograph?
Yeah.
You don't have the hard print.
So
yeah.
In this book, I see that you have collections.
Yeah, I think 48, 49 poems.
Yeah, of poems. Like I can see A for apple.
Yeah, that poem is very, very important.
So tell us, what happened in Nyanya?
Something happened.
Something happened. Something happened. So what happened in Nyanya?
So what happened was, can I recite it?
Yeah, you can.
So I went, there was a blast and dawn's facade was scarred with tears of guts and gash. Pelted flesh smacked in disgust at shattered panes in salute to our alien nation. Smoldering charred stumps, chunks of our citizens' pieces, were scattered in a reckless mix of grim, wide, grim, smeared, blood, pain, again, and that stench. For we know that smell, like seasoned neglect, another testament of morbid rains, blah, 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 blah. I can't remember the lines, but the poem touches on the bomb blast.
I wished I never asked you this question.
Why?
Because
the memories.
Memories.
And that's what poetry does. To bring us back to remembrance, to bring us back when we forget ourselves. Someone said that poetry sort of helps to direct humanity when humanity is deviating from itself, from its consciousness. So that's what poets are. Very sensitive people. Poets are people that we like to brag that we are in touch with our emotions more than everybody else. But that aside, so that's what poetry does. Ability to collect history and remind us when we forget. So now we are reading this. Remember what happened in Nyanya. It was not a beautiful thing. It was a very bad thing, and we must save it for people to come to and remember that something happened here. People lost life. We lost our loved one. Someone lost a brother. Someone lost a mother. Someone lost a sister. And I mean, pain is part of existing as a human being, and we all go through pain in whatever form. So yeah, poetry does that. It just tries to recollect when we forget.
So do you write other people's poems, or do you read other people's poems?
Yeah, I do. I perform other people's poems, not just read. I read other people's. I mean, you can't develop as a poet if you don't read other people's poems. It's not possible. So you can't just be in your own head and write about all the things you know, because you need, that mixture of knowledge, that external influence to help see the world a bit more well-rounded.
Yeah.
And so it's just proper that you study better people or even your peers. So yeah, I do study a lot of people.
So how do you get your inspirations?
Inspirations, I mean, everywhere is inspiration. You are an inspiration.
Have I inspired you?
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking about before we started.
Yes,
so you are an inspiration. The lights here are inspirations. I mean, everything. I mean, if you're a human being within the space, you can be inspired by anything around you. Yeah, and write something.
So, where have poetry taken you?
Oh my goodness, where poetry has taken me.
want to know the power of poetry.
Poetry I need to really say this one now. Like, poetry has taken me further than I could have ever imagined. Like, the first time I left the country was to go perform poetry. And I was invited, fully funded, to South Africa, the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban. And yeah, I went there, and we're 5 poets from Nigeria that were selected, and that's one of those travels where poetry helped me. In Cameroon, I've been to the Cameroon because of poetry. I've been to Freetown, Sierra Leone because of poetry. Yeah, those are like the 3 countries I've traveled to because of poetry. I was supposed to be in the UK, but my visa was denied, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I got the invitation and all of that. You know, poetry has done something. Like, currently I'm representing West Africa as a judge for African Poetry Slam, for poets that would represent Africa in Brazil for the World Poetry Slam happening in October this year. So yeah, poetry has done, like, just, it's amazing. Like, I mean, my poems have reached every other part of the world that I have not even traveled to, you know.
Would you say poets don't get enough recognitions?
Clearly we don't.
I asked you this question because
clearly.
I was speaking to a poet and she's like, no, we don't. We don't.
I mean, it's clear, you know, and it's partly because our art is too sensitive, you know, and sensitivity is something people shy away from. Because they said, there's a quote I would like, that's the oppressiveness of reality that makes fantasy to bloom in the heart of man. Reality is quite sensitive. Reality is real. Nobody likes reality. So you want to dodge. But poets don't dodge. They tell you what reality is. And again, our language sometimes might be too elevated. So the common man might find it, this grammar is too much, you know, and all of that. So, but again, that's what makes our art what it is, the beauty of language. Yeah. So you can't write good poetry without that beautiful form of language. So it's impossible to not write well because you want to connect with certain levels of society. So yeah, our craft is elevated. Then it takes someone that is quite sensitive to go into their core and bring out something that is very powerful. You know, so those are like very special gifts for very special people. Yeah. We know we are not recognized, but we are not complaining.
Okay. So how many poems have you written so far?
Oh my God! Remember? I can't piece it together like that.
You've been writing a lot. Like your brain is always on fire.
No, my brain is not always on fire. No. To be honest, no. But I've been reading because right now I'm working on my second collection. Okay. It's titled "We Don't Bury Bodies Ugly Here." So that will be out maybe this year, maybe next year. For right now, I do not know. The thing is,
sometimes like for a layman, you just hear your titles, like you're wondering, what's happening here?
You know, that's the beauty of poetry. Yeah. Now, if I explain that title to you, you'll get it.
Like this one now is... there's
a lunatic in every
town.
But that's quite serious. That's quite straightforward. But there's a lunatic in every town. I mean, okay, what I'm trying to say here is there's always... It's 2 sides, negative and positive. Now, I'll talk the negative and I'll talk the positive. The negative is there's always that pervert lurking in the dark, looking for that teenage girl to mess up with. There's always that rapist looking for who to mess up with. There's that armed robber. There's just that deviant. That deviance. Yeah. That's it. So there's a lunatic in every town. Then the positive side is there's also that lunatic who decides to go against the grain of society to create something fresh and new for us to enjoy. Sure. Inventors, artists, people that just be innovative. Exactly. So you could interpret it this way or that way. So that's it. It's quite straightforward.
Okay. So will you say, okay, in our society we see poets as entertainers. So
do we really see poets?
Yes, we see poets as entertainers because you get to see, oh, please, I have a show, please come perform for me. I have an event, please come perform for me. Can you let the viewers know that you guys are beyond what they
just
see?
Entertain. Yeah, we educate and also entertain. I think that would be a better place to put us. And I've also noticed, guess what? We don't get invitations to all kind of events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we get invitations to very special events. You hardly find a poet invited for a musical award show or. But
I see they invite poets for weddings.
Yeah, these days people are beginning to. I've performed at a wedding before, and we're always seen at probably corporate events. Some like cancer awareness, political events, like I performed at two politicians when they were declaring. I performed at those two of them. So yeah, some form of serious events you find poets. They didn't just invite us for.
So serious.
Yeah, in a way. The ones they see as serious, society said that's where you see us. You don't see a poet going to a club to perform. Though I've performed at a club before.
Oh, really?
Then somebody set me up.
So you see, you performed at a club. That means
no, somebody set me up.
I was
in a crowd having fun, and someone just said, "Bash is to the building.
He's in the building, so he has to do it."
I had to grab the mic and I did something.
Yeah, just the way you're going to do as a freestyle today.
I didn't plan for that.
Yeah. So can you tell upcoming poets, people that have that idea in their head, but they don't know how to bring it to reality? Can you help them?
So you need to start from what you have, and you need to find a community. You need to find a group, a niche, a collective of poets expressing themselves, maybe in an open mic or maybe just a meeting. You need to find that, because sometimes when you don't have that community, after a while you might just get tired and leave the craft. So, but if you have a community, the community will help. If the community is vibrant, it will help, to just sort of guide and supply you with information and supply you with certain things that you need. Okay. And from there you can
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
So let's take a very quick break. And when we return, Mr. Bash is still in the house and we'll continue the conversation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're still in the studio with Mr. Bash. Mr. Bash?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you once again. So, what is the place of intellectual property in the place of creativity? Okay,
you see, it's important that every creative understands intellectual property, because, if you have a piece of land, you have documents backing up the land that tells that you are the owner of the land. Yeah. Nobody can just go and start doing stuff on your land, except either you give them the rights, or they bought the land from you, they paid for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of the two. So intellectual property is like a land, though it's intangible now. That's the difference. It's just something you can't touch. What is there is your product. It's either a poem you wrote, a song you performed, or a video, or something you invented, whatever. They are all. It could be a shoe.
Yeah.
That's your intellectual property. So creatives need to understand that there's a way they can register their intellectual property, just like you registered your land with the land registry.
Yeah.
Yes, the World Intellectual Property Organization is there, NCC is there, Nigerian Copyright Commission is there. So artists need to know that if they create something that is quite unique, they need to register it. So there is a place of trademark, there's a place of patents and geographical information. Just like, let me not go too far, but like, artists need to understand their place and understand where intellectual property is relevant, and they should also understand the power they have if they truly understand their intellectual property assets.
Yeah.
Let me just
so basically you're just saying safeguard your content.
Your creative content is important. The internet, people just steal things all over the place.
Everywhere.
So you need to
okay.
Because you can actually file for it and get paid.
Yeah, true. So I see your book, like we're going back to this book.
Okay.
Yes. I see you have a lot of poems. So how many poems are here?
49 or 48, I think.
Have you thought of giving it to schools?
No, I have never.
Why? This is something.
I haven't, because from the state of mind at which I was when I wrote this wasn't for school. I just wanted to pour my thoughts on paper and all of that.
So okay, I feel okay.
But if some academic institution find it study worthy and they pick it up, great, I'm fine. But I'm not.
Okay. So okay, are you telling us that everything here was something that came from your mind?
Yeah. Some of them are okay, but when you say mind, you're still talking about. I drew from memory a lot.
Yeah.
There are poems that come from memory. There are poems that are real, like something happened in Nyanya.
There's an interesting one here.
Which one?
That we want to hear.
Which is that?
First kiss.
Okay, first kiss, so supple deep. Yeah. Ripped my innocence quickly, very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
But that's what it does to all of us. Yes, because that's what happens. It's very short. I mean, it's from experience. I do not know if you have that experience, but it's always very quick.
Yeah.
And it does something to your innocence. It's gone.
Immediately.
Yeah. That's it.
So, okay, that's a very interesting one. Like, I really had fun.
Thank you so much.
So, you've already given us...
the one with the Nyanya poem.
Yes. So you're going to give us a freestyle.
A freestyle? Yes. I'm terrible with freestyles.
I don't know.
Except I'll just recite one of my poems. Yeah, I'm not a very good. They're fantastic freestyle poets, but I'm not one of those fantastic freestyle poets.
Okay, it will be okay if you recite one of yours for us.
All right, thank you. What topic are we looking at?
Anyone.
Anyone?
Interesting. Something that won't bore us.
Ah, okay. So let's do There's a Lunatic in Every Town.
Okay.
It's a story. It's actually a story.
Let me go. Where will I get?
It's titled Lunatics on the Loose there. So just look for the poem titled Lunatics on the Loose. I've forgotten the page. But it's further in, not go further in. Yeah.
Towards Lunatic on the Loose,
yeah? Let me just check the table of contents so you can quickly
that's what I should
find it. Lunatic on the Loose. It should be on a human condition. Part of it. Lunatic on the Loose. Isn't it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, page.
That's 72.
All right. So what you have there is quite different from what I'm going to, not very different from what I'm going to recite.
I know. You might not be saying
because
everything.
Page is always different from stage.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to, so performance-wise, it's titled There's a Lunatic in Every Town. So there's a lunatic in every town, scanning huge garbage heaps by the roadside every time. His neck will angle to the left and then to the right, and eye is pinned in a constant squint, in steady admiration of a treasure chest, left there to fossil for years, and this morning I saw him at it again. At that junction close to my mechanic's shack, down that old tarmac, caving in at every inch, the one that takes us to the shanty markets where we buy pure water and block public drains, the same drains the government promised to fix. Then and again, I tell you, there's a lunatic in every town. You see that half-naked professor standing tall, that guy? I heard he jumped into bed with an already engaged date and was slapped with some vile village bait, but her very enraged mate, the same guy who smoked Igbo and climbed trees, I heard he blamed that action too on the pain of government's greed. I tell you, there's a lunatic in every town, honking at you, even on a lean traffic queue, when the traffic light is saying red of hue. But 7 times his horn will blast behind you, and you'll wonder if he's truly blind or you're just too slow to fit into his time. There's a lunatic in every town. He comes at you on bended knees with wines and kola nut. He comes with his kith and kin. He comes with that usual phrase, we found a flower in this compound and we'll not go until this flower comes with us. It's been 2 years down the line. This flower suffers from one black eye to another black eye to another black eye to another black eye. I tell you, there's a lunatic in every town. You know the ones that hurt me the most? The ones that build hospitals they will never use. The ones that travel to India just to die and their bodies are brought back to be buried in this land that they refuse to build. The ones that hang on to power for far too long. The ones we call our illustrious sons. The ones that clone themselves in too many godsons.
Oh God, I don't know what to say.
There's a lunatic in every town. Even this poet sitting on this chair being interviewed by you could just be a lunatic too. All of us will step out of this space, we'll see a pile of trash, we'll toss a little more just to build up the pile.
Yeah.
There's a lunatic in every town.
Wow.
End of story.
Wow. Where have you taken me?
Well, because there's a lunatic in every town.
Where have you taken me? Like, you just messed with my mind.
I didn't do anything like, but it's a story of our, our reality.
Yes. That's our reality. Yeah. Funny enough, like sadly, that's where we are right now.
That's where we are. So we need to find a way.
This is really beautiful.
And do better.
Like,
thank you.
Poems, like, people need to know that poems take you to places.
Yes. Yes, they do. It's amazing what poetry can do.
Yeah. This is really beautiful.
Thank you so much, Aisha.
Yeah. And I think you're giving me this. This is mine.
I actually brought it for you.
This is mine.
I brought it for you, so.
All right,
so
all right, Mr. Bash. We are so happy that you were able to come here today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we really love your poems, and I know my viewers out there also love your poems.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Viewers, this is all we have for you on today's episode of Showtime. Do well to join us same time next week for a more interesting episode. Until next time, it's bye from me.